Welcome back to Bedhaven, the safe place for safe plays. This is the second official video for Bedhaven. Last week I did an introductory video that included a projection for the Valspar Championship. Let's do a quick recap of that. If you saw the video last week, you saw that I loved Mackenzie Hughes. Going into it, I pulled up some of the odds and things like that. Mackenzie Hughes, shortest odds were 90 to 1, I think I saw. And I actually had an outright ticket on him on ESPN Bet at 110 to 1. So the weekend for me was a bit sweaty. Seeing him in contention the entire weekend, you can't really ask for much more than that for a guy at 110 to 1. So not at all upset with the pick. I don't recall any other projection sites or channels or anything like that being on Mackenzie Hughes or calling it out specifically. The fact that we were able to kind of single him out of the field of 155 and have him finish T3 with the lead on Sunday at I don't remember what stretch of holes it was, but he did have a 2-shot lead at one point. So 2 weeks in a row here, we've had a contender on Sunday. Like I said in the first video, I had Wyndham Clark at the Players, who obviously finished second to Scotty Scheffler on Sunday at the Players, and then Mackenzie Hughes on Sunday. Kind of a tough finish. I would say that he collapsed, but he really didn't. Shot -1 on Sunday. He couldn't capitalize. There was a point where I was kind of watching and thinking, he's in the driver's seat. Keith Mitchell completely folded. I mean, I don't know how many strokes he lost throughout Sunday, but he just did not play well, and you could see him immediately missing left off the tee and just kind of not being able to get anything going. So I think Mackenzie Hughes didn't necessarily lose it. I just don't think he did what he needed to do in order to win the tournament. Malnati, he did just that. He kind of took command, and the fact that he was in the same group as the same group as Hughes, it just kind of, I thought that there would be a little bit more back and forth between the two of them. It is what it is. I did hit on an albatross bet. Robbie Shelton from 258 yards dropped it in on Sunday. I had that bet going into the weekend, where I had it, pre-tournament, and didn't think at all that it was going to hit once I saw that it hadn't happened on Sunday. And then I saw live Robbie Shelton drop it in there. So that was a nice hit. I had a top 20 with Mackenzie Hughes, K.H. Lee, and Adam Svensson. K.H. Lee finished T9, I believe. Hughes obviously T3. And Adam Svensson finished with the third worst round on Sunday, shooting +6 to push him completely out of the top 20 there. He, going into Sunday, he was 6 under, I think. So he was T15, I want to say, was 6 under at that point, maybe even lower than that. But regardless, picking Hughes out of that field, and then seeing, how well he played and the contention all the way through the weekend, it makes me feel like the things that I'm looking at, pre-tournaments are correct. And, 2 out of 2 weekends here, we've seen that. So I want to give some projections for the Houston Open. Starts on Thursday. It is currently Tuesday while I'm recording this video, and I've got a couple players that I like going into this tournament. The biggest issue with this tournament to me is that you've got Scotty Scheffler in the field, and you've got him at odds. The last time that I looked, he was currently at +260, 2.5 to 1 on Scotty Scheffler to win this tournament. And then looking at the rest of the board, there's essentially no value to be had. Wyndham Clark is also in this tournament, and at some point in this video, I may pull up the odds and we can shop together here towards the end of the video. But, I've looked around, and I don't really know what to do at the top, because you're seeing numbers that are just all over the place. You've got guys that I feel like are just shorter than they absolutely should be. With Scotty being in the field and him being the level that he's at currently versus the rest of the field, I mean, do you just bet him at 3 to 1? I think was another number that I saw, was the highest number that I've seen so far. He opened at 3 to 1. So if anybody else has him at 3 to 1 currently, I'm sure there's people taking that right now. it's going to be really difficult for me to get to that number. I think what I'll do with Scotty is probably wait to see how he starts the tournament, on Thursday, and if it looks like he's going to make the cut on, which I assume he will, on Friday, I'll probably, kind of hope for maybe some struggles early, and then maybe try to get a live bet in going into the weekend at longer odds. I mean, it's just really hard to convince myself to throw a bet on Scotty at 3-1 or 2.5-1, whatever it currently is. So there's a couple things that I want to talk about today, and again, we just did a recap on Mackenzie Hughes. To start this video, I am going to give a quick synopsis of the Mackenzie Hughes situation going into this week. Mackenzie Hughes with his T3 is now officially 63rd in the world golf rankings. With that being said, we've got the Masters coming up. There are a couple golfers that are still eligible to qualify. Anybody that wins this week or next week will automatically be in the field for the Masters. And you've got a couple guys that are within the top 50 or within the range of getting to the top 50 in the official world golf rankings to qualify them for the Masters as well. Mackenzie Hughes being at 63rd. In order to push him into the top 50 of the official world golf rankings, he needs to finish solo third or better in this tournament. Now, that is a huge ask, obviously. He just finished T3. You're sort of riding a hot streak here. I'm not going to spend too much time on this for Mackenzie Hughes, but anybody that wants to kind of play the narrative of this guy has played in the Masters for the past 3 years, and is so close to that cusp of being eligible to qualify, maybe you just throw a dart at it. I think I saw him at maybe 45 to 1. And, obviously the odds for this week are much different than next week considering the way he played. But you've got a guy in Mackenzie Hughes that is off to, not off to, but is in really good form. His last 3 starts, he's finished T30, T26, and now T3rd. Historically played well in this tournament. His last 3 outings here from 2021 to 2023, he finished T7, T29, and T16 in that order. The course fit isn't perfect. This tournament and this course it plays for a bit longer than a lot of these other tournaments. I think 7,400 yards, 7,450, something like that. So the longer hitters are going to have the advantage here, and you kind of seen that in past tournaments. I will sprinkle Mackenzie Hughes in solely for the Masters narrative. I'm not going to be, as adamant about his ability to contend as I was last week. So, take that for what it's worth. If you want to sprinkle him in, knowing that he's got to finish solo third or better in order to qualify for the Masters, which is obviously a huge deal to a lot of these guys, I would say that's about the extent of what you should do. I'm going to list 1, 2, 3, 4 other golfers in order of my confidence level. None of these are going to be for outright wins. A lot of these guys are going to be top 20, top 10 type bets. And that's kind of what you're going to see from me going forward, at least early on. I could go through the entire field and give you all the stats for each golfer and why they are a good fit for the course or not a good fit. But, there's so much information out there that the type of bets that I'm, wanting to share and wanting to assist and give you guys the plays that you're looking for are ones that are, if you want to take Scotty and Wyndham or whatever, these guys at the top, that I could just very easily be like, hey, these are the best golfers in the field. They're going to win that, that type of situation. But I'm more looking at, guys that could finish top 20, could finish top 10. FanDuel offers top 40 bets. I've got a couple of those in place already as well. So, like I said, starting from most confident to least confident, we're going to look at 4 other golfers here outside of Mackenzie Hughes. Like I said, I wasn't going to spend a ton of time on that anyways. But the first guy we're going to take a look at is Tom Hoge. Tom Hoge is in really good form for this season. In 2024, he's only missed 1 cut. His finishes from the Pebble elevated event at Pebble Beach to the players. Go in this order: T6, T17, T56, T6, T17, 8th, T28, T12, and T54. The T54 being at the players, where he started off very good. I think he shot 67, 69 on day one and day two, and then just kind of fell apart in the weekend. I can forgive that for Tom Hoge as far as the T54 finish at the players. I think the expectation for him was a little bit higher going into that tournament. But, some of the stats that we're going to be looking at for this tournament include driving distance, like I've already said, approach from 150 to 175 and approach from 175 to 200 is sort of a correlating stat to success here. Par 3, there's 5 par 3s on this course and 3 par 5s, and then 3 putt avoidance. Larger greens here. Some of these guys that are missing greens or just barely getting on, you want to see the ability to avoid the 3 putts here for the big numbers and things like that, and the opportunity to score, obviously. Driving distance, Tom Hoge ranks 134th. Not great, but, with that being said, the numbers of approach from 150 to 175 and 175 to 200, he ranks 13th and 22nd. If he's not hitting it long, his approach numbers are good enough to kind of get him back to where he needs to be from a chance to score. And then the par 3, birdie or better, he's 16th. 5 par 3s, he ranks 16th in all players, not in this field and currently being listed on the PGA. And this is all available on the PGA's website. Par 5, birdie or better, 19th, and 3 putt avoidance, 54th. For a guy that's, I think he's 35 to 1. I think what I'm going to do right now is pull these stats up or pull the odds up, just that, so I can look at them live here. I'm going to use DK Sportsbook because that's one of my favorite books. I'm going to pull these odds up live here, so at least I know what I'm looking at. Some of this does come from a DFS perspective too. I do have a team already put together for DraftKings. So let's see here. Golf. Where you at? That's Valspar. All right, Texas Children's Open. Let's see. I'm going to go top 20. I don't want to give outright odds on anybody. I'm looking at Scotty right now. Scotty is plus 260 on DraftKings. I mean, I just don't know what you are supposed to do with that. Let's see. Tom Hoge is 45 to 1 outright. Don't hate that at all. I feel like if you wanted to sprinkle him in there, he's got no wins this season, obviously, but that's completely fine. 45 is a fair number, in my opinion, especially for the field. He is plus 190 to finish top 20. I don't love that number, but if you started kind of parlaying some of these together, you could probably make it work. I don't love throwing a bunch of guys in a top 20. The max I'll do for a top 20 bet is 3 golfers. I feel like once you start betting more than 3 guys in top 20, you're just kind of you're pushing yourself out. 4 guys in a top 20 finish, that's 20% of the entire bet for the entire field. So you're expecting to get 20% right of the entire field, and that's very difficult to do. Tom Hoge top 10 is plus 400, and plus T5 is plus 900. So, don't hate these odds here for Tom Hoge. I think they're a little shorter than I would have expected, but this field is just so top heavy. Again, you got Scotty, Wyndham, Zalatoris, Theegala, Day, Finau. That's your first 5 golfers on the odds sheet, and after that is just like significant drop off, in my opinion. Even the drop off from Scotty to Wyndham and then down is pretty significant. So Tom Hoge, I like him top 20. If you wanted to throw him in top 10, I think that's also a pretty solid bet. The other thing about Hoge is that he hasn't qualified for the Masters yet, and he's currently 57th in the official World Golf Rankings. So sort of the same token that applies to Mackenzie Hughes can apply to Hoge here. If Mackenzie Hughes needs a solo third at 63? Yeah, he's 63rd in the official rankings. And Tom being a little bit better in the official rankings than him, I would assume a top 10 would do it for him. maybe even a top 20. Might push him into the top 50 for official world golf rankings. Not entirely sure there, but I would feel pretty safe that a top 10 would do it, and with question, top 20. So, like Tom Hoge for this week. Again, this is not all of this stuff is not going to be outright stuff. If you want to bet the numbers at 45-1 for Tom Hoge, wouldn't hate that. But most of this is hey, parlay these guys together with your safer bets like Wyndham and Scotty and things like that, and Thigala, whatever. The next guy we're going to talk about is Stephan Jaeger. Stephan Jaeger is not really in the running for the Masters. I think his official ranking is 68th. He's upper 60s if from what I remember. But he's currently 6 out of 8 cuts, 6 out of 8 for cuts made this season. Best finishes are T3 and 2 T3s actually at the Farmers and the Mexico Open. He missed a cut at the Players on the number, so shot even par, and the cut was -1 at the Players. So again, something that you can kind of forgive. Players being the event that it is. You're just going to see less opportunity for some guys, for some of these type of players. Driving distance, he ranks 9th. Approach from 150 to 175. Don't have those numbers here, so let's go stats here. Stephan Jaeger. Approach from 150 to 175. He ranks 20th. Okay, so that's good. 175 to 200. He ranks 13th. So, driving distance, 9th. Approach from those numbers, 13th and 20th. That's sort of the formula for success here. You want to be longer off the tee. You can be less accurate here. This course is a bit more open than some of the ones that we've seen in the past week. There's less water. There's less tree trouble. The rough is more dormant. So again, I don't think you're going to be penalized as much as you were in some of these recent events for being errant off the tee. Par 3 birdie or better, he ranks 40th. Par 5 birdie or better, he ranks 61st. 3-putt avoidance, 95th. Okay, so those stats are a little less beautified for him, but again, driving distance and then the approach, you have the opportunity to score if you're hitting it long and then hitting well on approach. So like Stephan Jaeger here, obviously I said I was going to list these in order from most confident to least confident, so I like him a little bit less than Hoge for a top 20, but I will be putting definitely those two. When I'm starting my parlays for top 20s, it'll start Hoge, Jaeger. I mean, that's just what it will be. Another guy I want to talk about on this list is Thomas Detry. I don't really know. I've heard it pronounced both ways. Whatever. No offense to Thomas. He is 5 of 8 for cuts made this season with a T4 at Pebble. Pebble was an elevated event, so obviously he's not scared of a moment type of person. And he finished T17 last week at Valspar. Driving distance, he ranks 53rd. He ranks 83rd in approach from 150 to 175. He ranks 151st in approach from 175 to 200. 6th in par 3 birdie or better. 50th in par 5 birdie or better. And 51st in 3-putt avoidance. So from the stat profile, looking at his approach from those specific numbers that we talked about, 150 to 75 or 150 to 175, 175 to 200. He's not great. He's not the worst, but he's, obviously there's room for improvement. One stat that kind of stuck out to me is apex height for him, and he ranks 2nd in that. The stat for apex height is just kind of relative to how high the balls that are being hit. And the reason that that's important at this golf course specifically is because you have elevated greens and you have a lot of runoff areas. Detry ranking 2nd in apex height means that he'll be able to hit the ball higher and it'll be landing softer than it would if for a guy that with a lower apex. So again, the approach numbers aren't great here. Apex stat, I don't know how much weight anybody should put into that. That is an off the tee stat, by the way. So it is relative to what they're doing off the tee, but it does translate in most of their ball flight metrics. So Detry is not. He's 5 of 8 on cuts. I think he's playing better. He did miss the cut at the Players. Was it the Players? He did miss a cut recently. Let's see. I can pull that up real quick as well. Eventually, I'll probably start sharing the screen for these stats that I'm looking at. Let's see. T17, Dietrich played pretty well on the weekends. Results. Oh, no, he did make the cut at the Players. Finished T62. Missed the cut at Cognizant and Mexico. There is a correlation here between some of these events like Mexico, Sanderson, where it's longer, less accurate types of courses that don't require, you to hit it in the fairway. So the fact that he missed the cut at Mexico is a little, it's whatever. He shot a 78 first round and 69 the second round. So we can chalk that up to just a bad opening round. So I do like Dietrich here. Again, none of this is outright. I'll look at his outright odds. I don't have an expectation for a guy like Dietrich to win this tournament. We talked about Jaeger, so let's see what Jaeger is current. Jaeger, same as Hoge, 45-1 for outright, 9-1 on top 5, and so exact same odds as Tom Hoge for Stephan Jaeger. Let's look at. Oh, by the way, Mackenzie Hughes is 55-1 to win, 10-1 to finish top 5, and 4.5 to 1 to finish top 10. Don't hate that. I mean, it's obviously worse than it was last week, but again, you're trying to ride the hot hand, and you're trying to, back a guy that is trying to qualify for the Masters. Where is Dietrich at on this list? There's no way he's this far up, is he? 90-1 outright, 16-1 top 5, 7-1 top 10. I don't hate that. Yeah, those are longer than I would have expected, but here we are. Let's see what his top 20 odds are. I'd feel really good about a top 20 on Dietrich, kind of under the radar. And he's a little bit volatile. We've seen him kind of explode in moments, but top 20 here. 3-1. Building a quick parlay. Let's see what that would look like. Dietrich 3-1. Hoge. Hoge 1.9, Jaeger 1.9. So if you parlayed those three together for top 20, your odds would be plus 3,264. So essentially 32.5, a little bit over 32.5 to 1. That's not terrible. I mean, again, I don't like picking. Well, actually, that's got Ben Griffin in it. Why does that have Ben Griffin? I don't want Ben Griffin. Does that change? What happened there? Oh, same thing, because Ben Griffin was just below Dietrich. So, 10 to win, 324 there. That's not terrible. It's not great, but it's not terrible. If you pull Dietrich there, and we can kind of use this as a segue to transition into the last guy I want to talk about, which is Johnny Vegas. This is the last guy I want to talk about because it's the one I'm least confident in. But I was looking at the stats, and I'm like, okay, why? This should make more sense than it does. But I can't quite figure it out. So we'll talk about it real quick. Johnny Vegas, driving distance, 19th. Apex height. No, that's second. That's Dietrich's. We're not going to worry about apex height for Vegas, and I'm not looking that up right now. Again, it's not a stat that I weigh very heavily, but it can apply here. So that's why I initially had it listed, but then decided to just kind of write it off. Approach 150 to 175, 20th. Approach 175 to 200, 19th. So Johnny Vegas, similar to Stephan Jaeger's, hitting it long off the tee, and then it's good on approach from 150 to 200 yards. I like that a lot, obviously. And I would say that I'd weigh that more heavily than a lot of these other stats. Par 3 birdie or better, 93rd. Par 5 birdie or better, 58th. 3-putt avoidance, 72nd. The problem with Vegas currently is he's 2 for 6 on cuts made. His best finish was a T22 at Waste Management, and we just haven't seen him play very well. I'm banking on sort of a visual response here from Vegas. A lot of these tournaments are just visually less appealing than. Or not less appealing, but visually more traumatizing. You hit it way left or way right off the tee, and you're in the shit. And that's not so much the case here. So I feel like Vegas has an opportunity to swing free and maybe put together a nice little top 20 here. He did play, he's got a pretty extensive history for the Houston Open. This tournament's changed a lot over the years. I think the first time he ever played Houston Open for what it was is 2003. They did change course location and a lot of the involvement from Brooks Koepka there. I think that was back in 2020, the first year that changed, or either 2021. Either way, um, the last outing he had here was in 2022 at this course, so it was the newer version of this event, and he finished T26. Course history here I haven't really looked too much into a lot of that. I think that there is a correlation of guys that play well in the Texas swing, similar to guys that play well in Florida. You kind of do see a little bit of that for the tournaments that take place in Texas here. Valero next week, things like that. So looking at Johnny Vegas, I think he's plus 500 to finish top 20. So if we take my two most confident guys to finish top 20, which are Hoge and Jaeger, and when I say two most confident, I mean with decent odds that aren't, Scotty or Wyndham or Theegala or those guys at the top there. So this is not like just me being like, okay, Tom Hoge and Steven Jaeger are the best golfers in this field. That's not what I'm saying. If you pair Jaeger, Hoge, and Vegas for a top 20 parlay, your odds are plus 4,946, so plus 5,000 almost. That's pretty good. Again, you're not going to get rich off of anything like that unless you decide to throw, let's see, $100 would pay you $5K essentially. So, longer odds for longer shot golfers being paired together to finish top 20. That's kind of the model I'm looking at here. That's what I'm looking to build off of. I've got some, good confidence in these first two in Hoge and Jaeger. Hughes, again, if you wanna go there, I know I will be, just because there's no chance I would allow myself to be all over him last week, and have zero exposure to him this week, knowing the situation. But this is what I like for the children's. It's called the Texas Children's Houston Open. I think it's Texas Children's Hospital, maybe. They've switched sponsors for the last couple of years, but we'll refer to it as the Houston Open. So these are the picks I like for the Houston Open. If you like this video, make sure you like it, subscribe to the channel. Next week, I think, where are they at next? Oh, Valero next week. I'll have videos for that. I will have guest appearances for the Valero video. And when I say guests, these will be the guys that will be doing this with me going forward. And then just getting closer to the Masters, I plan on having a lot of content around the Masters and looking forward to that. So again, if you like the video, if you like having these kind of outlier picks that aren't, the favorites at the top, if you're looking for DK picks, got a certain amount of salary left, you can kind of find where these guys at on a DK's on the DK price chart. Or if you're just looking for these top 20, top 10 parlays, whatever, these are the guys that I'm looking at. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you want to see more footage like this, more content like this, make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.